Hello everyone, my name is Hydra and welcome to my first ever Genshin Impact guide video. Today I want to talk about elemental reaction because there is a lot more that goes into these reactions rather than two elements touching each other, and it seems fun to discuss. This video will get mathematic like my Honkai Star Rail speed guide video, but fear not, I will make everything as simple as possible. Also, this video is really just a part of a much bigger video I want to make later down the line, so if you enjoy this video, please stay tuned. Without further ado, let's get on with the video. Whether you're new to Genshin or a veteran player, there is no denying that elemental reactions are one of the most important aspects of this game, and there are many, and I mean many elemental reactions. Don't worry, I'll break these reactions up into 3 parts later in the video, but I want to list all the reactions in case any of you are unfamiliar with them. As of the 23rd of July 2005, there are 16 different reactions. You may know that we are getting a new reaction called Lunar Charged, and maybe I'll go over that another day. For now, we have Vaporize, which is Hydro and Pyro. We have Melt, which is Pyro and Cryo. We have Burning, which is Dendro and Pyro. We have Swirl, which is Anemo with Hydro, Pyro, Electro, or Cryo. We have Superconduct, which is Cryo and Electro. We have Electrocharged, which is Hydro and Electro. We have Overload, which is Pyro and Electro. We have Bloom, which is Hydro and Dendro, which makes these Dendro cores. We have Burgeon, which is these Dendro cores plus Pyro. We have Hyperbloom, which are these Dendro cores plus Electro. We have Freeze, which is Hydro and Cryo. We have Shatter, which is Freeze plus any Brute Voice or Geo. We have Crystallize, which is Geo with Hydro, Pyro, Electro, or Cryo. We have Quicken, which is Electro plus Dendro. We have Aggravate, which is Quicken plus more Electro. And we have Spread, which is Quicken plus more Dendro. Earlier, I mentioned that I'm going to break up these reactions into 3 parts. They are Transformative, Amplifying, and Catalyzed reactions. To put it very simply, Transformative is just additional damage. Amplifiers are just your damage multipliers, and Catalyzed is just aggravating and spread. Transformative elemental reactions include Burning, Swirl, Superconduct, Electrocharged, Overload, Bloom, Burgeon, Hyperbloom, and Shatter, because they will create extra instances of damages, like you see on screen. Amplifying reactions includes Vaporize and Melt, which is just one instance of damage, but the damage is much larger than what you have done without the reaction. Catalyzed reaction, as I said before, is just aggravate and spread, which is just when you add more Dendro or Electro to the quicken reaction, and those damages are increased. As I said before, transformative reactions are like additional damages, which is its own standalone damage that is not directly made by your character, but rather from the reaction. For example, in this frame, my Traveler dealt exactly 426 power damage. From the Overload reaction, however, there is an additional 5,122 overloaded damage from the reaction. This extra damage is determined by this equation. Transformative damage is equal to reaction multiplier times level multiplier times 1 plus EM bonus sub T plus reaction bonus times enemy resistance multiplier. This equation seems scary, I know, but we're only going to be focused on these 2 parts of the equation. The level multiplier is also really important, but in short, this multiplier isn't just plugging in your level 80, 89, or 90 character. So just to show a small example, if your character is level 80, the multiplier is 1077.44, and you can expect the level 90 character to be higher than that. Now to our focus. The reaction multiplier is displayed here. The lowest multiplier is the burning reaction, and the highest multiplier is bloom, burgeon, hyperbloom, and shatter. The reaction bonus are buffs you gain from the reactions, like the 4-piece Crimson Witch artifact set. That artifact buffs your overloaded, burning, and burgeon damage by 40%, and increases vaporize and melt damage by 15%. So in this case, a transformative reaction, the reaction bonus will be considered 0.4. Finally, let's talk about EM bonus. EM bonus is not just your flat elemental mastery value, but it is calculated using the equation using your elemental mastery. For transformative type reactions, EM bonus is calculated using this equation. EM bonus sub t is equal to 16 times EM divided by EM plus 2000. So if we happen to have 289 elemental mastery, our EM bonus multiplier would be equal to 16 times 289 divided by 289 plus 2000, which is 2.02. By the way, the subscript T here is just for transformative type reactions, because other type of reactions will have different EM bonus equations. Before I talk about how other elemental reactions improve your overall damage output, I want to briefly show you how damage works in Genshin. Please do not be frightened to what I'm about to show you because I will not be going in depth on the following equation in this video. Damage in Genshin is determined by this equation. Damage is equal to base damage plus base damage multiplier plus additive base damage, all of that multiplied by damage bonus multiplier, enemy defense multiplier, enemy resistance multiplier, times your crit, times amplifying multiplier. We are only going to be focused on these two parts of the equation because that's where amplifying reactions and catalyzed reactions live respectively. Also, transformative reactions are not part of this equation, which is why I didn't show you this earlier. Transformative reactions, like I said before, have their own equation, as I showed you previously, because they are their own instances of damages, known as additional damage. An amplifying reaction is much easier to understand because it really is just as simple as multiplying your damage. In that long equation I displayed earlier, this type of elemental reaction lives in that last bit of amplifying multiplier. That amplifying multiplier is defined by this equation. Amplifying multiplier is equal to reaction multiplier times 1 plus EM bonus sub A plus reaction bonus. The reaction multipliers are displayed here. You may have noticed that despite the same melt reaction, the multipliers are different. To distinguish the difference between these two reactions, the community added the term reverse to the 1.5 times reaction. Applying pyro to an enemy affected by cryo is considered melt with a 2 times multiplier. Applying cryo, however, to an enemy affected by pyro is still melt, but is known to be reverse melt with a 1.5 times multiplier. The same goes for vaporize. Applying hydro to an enemy affected by pyro is considered vaporize with a 2 times multiplier, but applying pyro to an enemy affected by hydro is still vaporize but is considered to be reverse vaporize with a 1.5 times multiplier. Now, let's move on to EM bonus, as amplifying EM bonus has a different equation from transformative EM bonus. EM bonus for amplifying reaction looks like the following. EM bonus sub A is equal to 25 over 9 times EM divided by EM plus 1400. So I wanted to use my Yelan as an example to show you what vape looks like. Here, the game will actually tell you what the EM bonus percentage is. For my Yelan with 42 EM, her vaporize damage is set to be 8.1%. Though it's nice to have this number, I wouldn't use this value to calculate your exact damage because this percentage is rounded. I'm going to show you the difference in a moment, but first let's see how Yelan does in practice. Without vaporize, she does 42,185. With vaporize, she does 91,196. Now let's use math to test the difference using our equation versus the number the game gives you. So for our equation, EM bonus is equal to 25 over 9 times 42 divided by 42 plus 1400, which gives us a very long floating point number of 0.0809060149, which from now on I'm just going to call EM bonus. This value is awfully close to the game's value of 0.081, but let's not round it. Back to our amplifying multiplier equation. Amplifying multiplier is equal to reaction multiplier times 1 plus EM bonus plus reaction bonus. Since we're not getting any other reaction buffs like from Crimson Witch in this clip, this reaction bonus is just 0. The reaction multiplier here will be 2 because we're applying hydro onto an enemy affected by pyro. So the equation looks like this, which gives us a multiplier of 2.1618123. Where does this number go? Let's head back to our big equation. Before, I said that Yelan's raw damage without any reaction is 42,185. So this entire part of the equation is just 42,185. Now, we have 42,185 times amplifying multiplier, which we said was 2.1618123. Multiply these numbers together, and this gives us a value of 91,196, which the game displayed as 91,196. On a side tangent, this value would not have been the same if we used the EM bonus the game showed us of 0.081. To speedrun this, 42,185 times the amplifying multiplying equation of 2 times 1 plus 0.018 plus 0 gives us 91,203.97, which is nearly 8 whole damage away. So the difference between an unrounded EM bonus and a rounded value could be considered pretty significant, so I thought that was cool to share here. Catalyzed reaction is just simply aggravate and spread, and is part of the big equation's additive-based damage. Now, to fully give an example, I would have to break down this entire equation because of the mathematical phenomenon of order of operations, but I'm not going to do that in this video and just explain how catalyzed reaction plays a role to the overall damage. The additive-based damage looks like this. The additive-based damage is equal to reaction multiplier times level multiplier times 1 plus EM bonus of C plus reaction bonus. Again, we see that level multiplier, which really does increase the damage of reaction, but we are going to ignore this. The reaction multipliers are displayed here. We have a 1.15 times multiplier for aggravate reaction and a 1.25 multiplier for spread reaction. The EM bonus for catalyzed reaction looks like this. EM bonus sub C is equal to 5 times EM divided by EM plus 1200. So if I were to use my Technari who has 329 EM in a spread team, for example, his EM bonus would be calculated to 1.07586658. Now back to the additive base damage equation, you would add this to 1. This number would be multiplied by the reaction multiplier, which would be 1.25 for spread. And this number would be multiplied by the level multiplier, which at level 90 is 1448.85. Just let that number be. And this would be the total damage buff, which is added into that big equation. So to summarize what I just went over, the reactions are broken up into 3 types of reaction that work differently in game. The transformative reaction, the amplifying reaction, and the catalyzed reaction all differ to how your overall damage output is increased. Now, you may have noticed that some of these reactions are missing, like freeze, quicken, and crystallize. I'll talk more about them in the next section, but in short, these reactions don't exactly buff your damage, but they do have some uses. The reason crystallize, freeze, and quicken are not included in the other type of reaction is because they don't exactly buff damage. Crystallize and freeze damage doesn't get increased with EM, but these reactions typically buff other parts of your character's kit. For example, Navia's damage is increased if she creates up to 6 crystallized reaction. Freeze reaction, which we recently got with Escoffier and Skirk, they have their own damage increase as a result of freeze. Escoffier in particular suggests that if you have only Hydro and Cryo on your team, the enemy's Hydro and Cryo resistance is decreased by 55%. What I'm trying to say here is that both freeze and crystallize don't necessarily buff a specific part of this big equation, but can either debuff the enemy or buff your character's damage anywhere in this big equation depending on your character's kit. What's interesting though is that EM does buff something about crystallized, and it's that shield you get from the crystallized reaction. EM buff shield used this equation. EM bonus sub S is equal to 4.44 times EM divided by EM plus 1400. This bonus increases your shield's HP by that percentage. Your shield HP is determined by your character's level. Hope that makes sense. Finally, quicken is just a state of the enemy. Just like how Hydro and Cryo leaves your enemy in a frozen state, quicken is also a state, or also known as an aura, so you can apply more Electro or Dendro to make the aggravate or spread reaction respectively. Okay, that's all I have to share. I really hope I made this video as easy and understandable as possible. This video is indeed math heavy, but I tried to make it as clear as I can both visually and verbally so it can make the ideas seamless. If you enjoyed this type of content and want to see more, whether it be from Genshin, Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, please consider subscribing and liking the video, as that would be the most direct way to help. You can always change your mind if you feel as so. I would also love to start streaming if you're interested in that, so if you would like to see me live sometime, I'll link my Twitch in the description. I don't have a schedule yet, but I'll make one as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.